in this video I'm going to be talking about 5 great tank mates for your betta fish. Bettas can be hard to find tank mates for because of their aggressive nature, and although it can be hard, there are still a lot of fish you can keep with them. It's very hard to keep bettas with bettas unless you create like a full-on betta sorority. But there are heaps of fish that you can actually keep with them. So the first one I want to talk about, which I'm sure if you've watched other videos, the Cory catfish is going to be in all of them. Cory catfish are really great fish to keep with bettas because they're very peaceful and they're not fin nippers. So it's very important that you keep your betta with non-fin nippers because they're very slow-moving fish and they have long fins, which makes them very prone to getting their fins nipped. They also clean up the leftovers that betta fish leave behind, or just other fish in the tank leave behind, because they're bottom feeders, which sort of like scurry around the floor, dig up little bits and stuff, just eat leftover food. They won't eat poop. That's disgusting. They might accidentally eat poop, but like that's not like, don't expect them to eat poop in the tank because that's disgusting. Cory catfish also live in groups, which makes it less likely that the betta fish is going to attack them, and they also share very similar water parameters with the betta. The second fish I want to talk about is the bristlenose catfish, which bristlenoses can go with like so many. They can go with like really aggressive fish like convict cichlids and stuff, and like bigger African cichlids. And they can also go with like the neon tetras and shrimp. Actually, I don't know about shrimp, but they can go with heaps of fish, which makes them great tank mates for betta fish. And they're hardy, and they usually don't even like go up to the betta. Like sometimes they'll be like a little like, hey, how's it going? But they won't like approach the betta. They'll usually just like not even realize it's there, or just act like it's not there. And if the betta tries to attack the bristlenose, then the bristlenose can usually like fight back. Like they have spikes, especially males have like spikes behind their gills, and they can use that to attack. But they won't go and attack the betta. And just like the Cory catfish, they clean up food that the betta will miss. I've said betta so many times, oh my goodness. They will clean up food that other fish drop, and they'll also eat algae. They won't eat all the algae, but they'll eat a good majority of it. But they'll also poop heaps, so don't like when you hear someone say like, bristlenoses clean the tank, they're not cleaning the tank. They'll eat off the algae, but not really cleaning the tank. They're just pooping a crap ton and making the water quality worse. The third fish on the list is loaches. There are so many different species of loaches, and pretty much all of them are very peaceful and will not attack the betta fish unless they are provoked. They can be very curious too. Most loaches are really curious, and it's cute to watch, but sometimes they might annoy the betta and it might attack them, but they can really easily just run away and hide. They also can be quite sensitive depending on which ones you get, but most of the time a lot of loaches are going to be a lot less sensitive than betta fish. Because like, you see bettas in bowls and they live for ages. You shouldn't keep them in a bowl unless it's big enough to keep them. But loaches are not as hardy as bettas, so you will need to make sure that you're like taking pretty good care of that tank for the loaches and the betta to survive. Before we move on to the fourth fish, I think my bristlenose Pevi has been trying to say something the whole time.
You better like and subscribe, or I'll follow you home and eat your microwave, and then I'll steal one single sock and all the container lids.
That was a bit dark. So the fourth fish on the list is tetras, just tetras in general. Specifically cardinals, neons, and rummy nose tetras. I've seen them go really well with bettas. Heaps of other tetras you can put with them, those are just the ones I've seen with them. Tetras are very peaceful and usually don't bother the betta. The only problem is that sometimes they can be fin nippers. Not all the time, I haven't really seen it, but I've heard stories of sometimes them being fin nippers, but I wouldn't worry too much about that. Just like the Corys, they live in groups, so the betta is less likely to attack, and they also have the same water conditions and everything else I've repeated like 10,000 times. The last fish I want to talk about on this list, it's not actually a fish. I'm sure everyone knows what I'm about to say. and I'm sure this is on every single other list of better fish tank mates, and it's the snail. You probably know that from getting them all over your plants when you buy them and then them taking over your tank, they are basically indestructible, and as well as they can be extremely annoying and hard to get rid of. If you have a well-balanced tank, they usually won't take over too much. It sort of depends which ones you have. Ram swans, in my case, they have not completely taken over, but I've seen tanks with them taken over. And they may seem pretty lame too, like there's these slow snails like just like sliding around all through the tank, being lame. But you can also get really cool ones, like apple snails, assassin snails. Bettas don't attack snails because they have a very hard shell, they can easily hide in that. They might flare at it at the start a bit, or just flare at it when they see it, but they usually won't do anything bad. And the snails also can't attack the Betta because what's it going to do? Like, they can't do anything to attack the fighting fish, unless it's assassin snails with the sharp shells. But apart from that, they can't really do much. So they are very great tank mates for most fish, apart from loaches. Loaches will eat them to death. They will eat them, they'll like flip them over and then suck them out of their shell and eat them. So, that was my list of 5 fish you can keep with better fish. There are like a gajillion other tank mates. It's just mainly keeping bettas with bettas, unless you want to make it a better sorority. I don't know how to make one of those. Do your own research before doing that. And you don't want to keep them with big fish like cichlids, especially things like convict cichlids, fire mouths, other like big Jeff Dempseys. Just bigger cichlids like that are very hard to keep them with because cichlids just rip them to pieces. Yeah, that was my top 5. I hope you got something out of this video. If you did get something out of this video, please consider liking or subscribing. I haven't got new subscribers in like a million years. But yeah, and I will see you guys in the next video.